Today's show sponsor is Sienna Dawn Media Integrated Marketing Agency. Sienna Dawn Media is more than just a marketing agency. They're your partners in progress. Their mission is simple: to alleviate marketing bandwidth, allowing creative business owners to focus on what they set out to do: create. Sienna Dawn Media empowers creatives to thrive without the burden of managing their own social media and marketing campaigns. So if you're ready to set sail toward new horizons, let Sienna Dawn Media chart the course and steer your business toward success. Visit siennadawnmedia.com.
Blah, 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 blah.
Welcome to the Our Forever Smiles podcast, a podcast created to support mothers of children who were born with clefts and those who love them. I'm your host, Laura Arroyo, and I'm also a mother of a daughter who was born with a surprise cleft palate. I know the challenges you face every day, whether you have just learned the difficult news of your baby's cleft lip or palate, you're in the midst of pre-op or post-op, or you're an OG cleft mom. This podcast is for you. In a weekly conversation, we will talk about everything from feeding and speech therapy to surgery and school. We'll share tips from guest experts and advocates, and even share a little joy in the process. You can listen to Our Forever Smiles wherever you listen to podcasts. Don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned. Hello, and welcome back to the Our Forever Smiles Cleft Mom Diaries and Support podcast. I am Laura Arroyo, and I'm so glad that you're here with us today, especially on this very special Christmas Eve. So I'm actually going to do something a little bit different this time around. This is going to be our first solo episode that we've had in a while. It is late at night. I'm actually trying to record as my family is sound asleep. So forgive me if my voice is a little bit raspy or I'm coming through a little unclear. I'm actually very exhausted. I feel like I've been running around doing so many things. As many of you know, I still have a full-time job. And so I am trying to, of course, develop this podcast and put information out there and help families as much as I can around the clock. And of course, I'm human and those things catch up to me. So I am exhausted today. But I felt so compelled to talk about how moms can come to terms with their child's cleft diagnosis. I feel like I talk to so many moms every single day, and yet I feel like I needed to create something that's speaking directly to that acceptance. That is like a accumulation of all of the information that I have received and all of the things that have helped moms come to terms with that gut-wrenching news of having a child that, not even thinking about just a cleft, but having a child that has something wrong with them. It is really difficult to accept that and to navigate through that. It is so hard. And I've heard countless moms cry out to people just asking, how do I get past this hurdle? And so I felt so compelled tonight to record this. So please don't feel sorry for my tiredness or my exhaustion, because I love doing this. I love sharing stories with you all. I enjoy being able to be a voice of reason for this community. And I truly find it's a pleasure to serve this community in this way. So whether you're curled up with your loved ones, trying to soak in the holiday season, or maybe just feeling a little extra tender and emotional as you navigate the challenges of the Cleft journey, I want to remind you that you are not alone. The holidays can be a mix of joy and stress, and for some of us, they can bring up all sorts of complicated emotions. So today's episode is dedicated to those of you who are dealing with your child's cleft diagnosis. Maybe this is your first Christmas or your fifth, whether you're an OG, as I've stated in the intro here, I am here to support you and to send you a little bit of hope and give you a little bit of peace as we get through this together. Before I jump into this episode, I want to invite you to join our community of Cleft moms and advocates who are here to support each other through this journey. It's a space where you can hear conversations with other Cleft moms, ask questions, and connect with a group of women who are truly understanding and they know what you are going through. So all I want you to do is click on the Facebook group link in the episode notes, and you'll be able to speak directly with our podcast guests, ask questions, and engage with a supportive community of Cleft moms that are eager to offer advice, share their experiences, and lend a helping hand. Now, I can't emphasize enough how important it is to be a part of a community, especially early on in this journey, as you may be going through difficult days filled with questions, fears, and a lot of uncertainty. These groups offer a space where you can lean on others who've been where you are and can help you see a path forward. Whether it's a virtual hug, a shared experience, or a helpful resource recommendation, community can truly make all the difference. So don't hesitate to click on that link in the episode notes and join us on Facebook. A quick note before we get started. As you all know, I share this at the beginning of all of our episodes, but we are not medical doctors, and we do not intend for you to use the information that we share here as medical advice. We're parents and advocates who love our children deeply, and we're simply sharing our own personal stories and insight. If you would like to share your story on the podcast, I will be sending out a notice calling speakers for 2025. We want to hear your story. Again, as I've shared, we are a community. People want to hear how you got through things, and you have no idea how powerful your story is and how it can help others. Please do not hesitate to contact me. You can certainly just email me if you want to share your story. The email is ourforeversmiles@gmail.com. Today's episode is going to be a bit of a heavy one, but one that I will bring some healing to. I hope that it gives you some comfort and a little bit of peace, especially if you're just beginning your journey as a Cleft mom. I know that Christmas can bring a lot of joy, but it can also stir up emotions, especially when you're processing a recent diagnosis. It's natural to feel a mix of emotions during the holidays: the warmth of family traditions, the excitement of watching your child's first Christmas, but also maybe moments of sadness, worry, or overwhelm as you think about the future. When you first hear your child's diagnosis, whether it's a cleft lip, cleft palate, or a more complex combination, that moment can feel like an emotional earthquake. The ground beneath your feet feels shaky, and your heart races as you wonder, what does this mean for my child, for our family, and for our future? And let me just say this, all of those feelings are valid, every single one of them. From the shock to the sadness, to the anger, to the fear, and even the guilt and worry that comes in waves. In this episode, I want to explore how to come to terms with your child's diagnosis. We're going to talk about emotional validation because it's so important that you know that you're not alone in feeling everything that you're feeling right now. And I'll give you some practical steps to help you move forward with hope and resilience, even on your hardest days. So let's start with the emotional side of things. When you first hear about your child's cleft diagnosis, it might feel like you've been hit with a tidal wave of emotions. You might feel disbelief, confusion, or even anger. Why my child? Why us? You might also feel overwhelmed by the amount of information you suddenly have to take in. Let me tell you something. You're not alone in feeling that way. Every mom that I've spoken to has had their own version of that first moment. Some cry for hours, some withdraw, trying to process everything quietly. Some start Googling everything under the sun, which, by the way, can be overwhelming and not always helpful, but we've all been there. What I want to emphasize here is that there is no right or wrong way to react. There's no checklist for grief or acceptance. If you need to cry, cry. If you feel scared, acknowledge that fear. If you feel angry, it's okay to be mad. All of those feelings are normal and part of this journey. But there's one thing I do want you to hold on to. This diagnosis does not define your child, and it doesn't define you as a parent. You are so much more than this moment. And while it may feel like your world has been turned upside down, you will eventually find your footing again. You will learn how to navigate this world one day at a time, one step at a time. It's also completely valid if one of your worries is how your child will look. I know for many cleft moms, the first thing they wonder about is whether their child will look different from other kids. You might worry about how your child's appearance will impact their life, how others will treat them, or how you'll feel seeing those first photos. Let me reassure you, that worry is absolutely normal. It's part of the emotional process that comes with accepting your child's diagnosis. You might even feel heartbroken thinking about it, and that's okay. It's okay to worry. But here's the thing. Science has come so far. Surgeons and medical teams are more skilled than ever before in cleft care. Surgical techniques have advanced greatly, and the results that families see in terms of appearance, function, and long-term outcomes are truly amazing. Your child's cleft lip or palate is just the beginning of a medical journey, one that is full of hope and incredible healing. You may not be able to see it yet, but this is not the end of the story. This is just the beginning of a beautiful transformation, not just physically, but emotionally for your whole family. You will get to witness the positive changes that happen, and over time, the concern about appearance often lessens as you see your child thrive. Now, I know that while we're validating emotions, it's also important to have some practical tips for moving forward. The first thing I want to suggest is this. Take things one day at a time. It can be easy to get overwhelmed by all the things you have to think about. Appointments, surgeries, speech therapy, maybe feeding issues, the NAM process, maybe your baby's tubes have fallen out. It goes on and on. But if you let your mind wander too far ahead, it can be paralyzing. Focus on today. Today, maybe you just need to make one call to a specialist. Maybe today is about finding a support group, and that's enough, one step at a time. And if you're in that first year of appointments, you're going to worry, and it's okay to worry. That first year can feel like a whirlwind of medical visits and procedures. It's a time where it feels like you're always running from one appointment to the next. That can be overwhelming, and it's okay to be anxious about it. It's okay to feel like you're not sure how you're going to balance everything. It's a lot. But take it from me and from so many moms who've been there, you will get through it. And you'll find your rhythm. those appointments will eventually settle into a routine, and you'll feel more confident as you take each step. When you first hear the diagnosis, it can feel incredibly isolating, but your team doesn't just have to be doctors. Tip number 1, build your team of support. You need people who can help you navigate the emotional side of things too. Friends can listen without judgment, family members who can be there when you need a break, or a fellow Cleft mom who can offer wisdom and solidarity. Whether it's your partner, a family friend, or a community of Cleft parents, make sure that you're surrounding yourself with people who will support you. And don't be afraid to ask for help. Tip number 2, get informed, but don't overwhelm yourself. Knowledge is power, but it's easy to fall into the trap of trying to know everything about cleft conditions right away. I am still learning. I've talked to countless cleft moms, and I'm still learning. The internet can be so overwhelming. You don't need to know everything today. Start by asking your medical team for resources they recommend, trusted websites, books, or articles that can guide you. Learn what you need to learn, but give yourself permission to take breaks from the research. Tip number 3, establish a routine for you and your child. Having a routine can bring a sense of calm in the midst of chaos. Establishing a predictable schedule, even if it's just a small part of your day, can provide stability for both you and your child. And when it comes to yourself, make sure you carve out moments of self-care. It's easy to forget about your own needs, but you can't pour from an empty cup. I'll never forget those early appointments with Giselle. I was running around like a mad woman. I was pumping during that time as well. I can picture myself in my head right now, like literally with a cold meal in my hand, milk leaking all down my shirt from my breast because I needed to pump, and a screaming, crying baby. Oh, those days are so hard. But I'm so glad that I was able to establish and finally get my rhythm and establish a routine for both of us, where I also took care of myself in the way that I needed to in order to help her and to be the best mom that I could for her. Tip number 4, talk to other Cleft moms at appointments. Another powerful tip is to connect with other moms at your medical appointments. You may feel hesitant at first, but that's okay. Sometimes just being in the same room with someone who's going through the same experience can bring a sense of comfort. If you're not quite ready to speak with them, that's perfectly fine. Just observe. Watch how other moms interact with their children, the medical staff, and each other. One day, you'll be one of them. You'll find your confidence, you'll find your voice, and eventually, you'll reach acceptance. You can also ask your doctor to introduce you to the other parents or other patients so that you can talk to each other. You can organize play dates once your children are eventually born, or you can just stay connected throughout the process. And I find that to be very helpful. These moments of connection, even if just in passing, can help normalize the experience and give you a sense that you're not alone in it. You are on a journey with others, and in time, you'll feel more at ease in your own role. I know this journey is not an easy one. The road ahead might seem uncertain at times, but I want you to hold on to this truth. You are stronger than you think, and you are never alone. Whether you're at the beginning of this journey or further down the road, know that each step forward counts. Some days will be hard, but every small victory, whether it's a successful surgery or simply getting through the day, is something worth celebrating. Thank you for listening to the Our Forever Smiles, Cleft Mom Diaries, and Support podcast today. I hope that you found some peace and reassurance and maybe even a little joy as you walk through this journey with your child. Don't forget to join our community on Facebook by clicking the link in the episode notes. And please subscribe to our podcast and leave a review. Your feedback means the world to us. Love always, in all ways. Talk to you next week, and Merry Christmas.